I close this program.
News on top of the hour.
Live from our studio in Georgetown.
Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 FM.
Hello, thank you for tuning in to Kaieteur Radio 99.1, 99.5, and welcome to your news at noon. I am Kayla King, and these are the top stories that we're tracking after the break. Government will heed TT experts' advice to measure local content by value, not volume, says Vice President Jack Dio. Girl 15 saves sister from being murdered by lover. Suspect hangs self before Coast Guard arrives. Matai's business owner stabbed while trying to fend off bandits in attempted robbery. Opposition demands urgent meeting with ExxonMobil over poor performance. Do stay tuned.
It is here, the Wake Up Guyana program with your host, Tony from Myconi, Monday through Friday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. on Kaieteur Radio, FM 99.1 in Demerara and Essequibo and 99.5 in Berbice. The radio with a difference.
Welcome back, and now for the news in detail. After noting the advice of Trinidadian energy strategist Anthony Paul, Vice President Dr. Barra Jagdio is a now firm believer that Guyana should measure local content by value and not by volume. Dr. Jagdio demonstrated his understanding of Paul's sage words as he said that an oil company, for example, can say it hired 20 Guyanese to provide food supplies, but omit the truth about the value of the contractors going to those firms. Mr. Paul had said that one must think of local content as something that can be measured. Based on Paul's advice, Dr. Jagdio said the government will enforce the principle of measuring what oil companies are doing and not to leave it just at their word. In other news, the actions of a 15-year-old girl yesterday saved her elder sister, 17, from being butchered to death. Her actions can only be described as tremendous bravery. Her sister was attacked by her 22-year-old boyfriend around 11:45 hours. The two girls were reportedly traveling in a boat from Hubukoker to their home located at Fort Island in the Essequibo River. According to a police report, they were halfway through their journey when the boyfriend pulled up beside them in his boat. The man, armed with a cutlass, jumped over into their boat and said, "All the time you just fool me," while he began chopping the 17-year-old girl to her head and hand. The attempted murder was subsequently reported to the Fort Island Coast Guards, and they began looking for their boyfriend. They spotted his boat at Murashi Essequibo River, located opposite Fort Island, and stopped there. They found him minutes after, hanging from a tree. The body was removed and transported to Perico, where it was handed over to the cops in Region 3. They have since launched an investigation into the attempted murder-suicide. Meanwhile, prominent business tycoon Harry Matai, owner of NS Matais and Company, was on Saturday night stabbed to his lower back while trying to fend off two armed bandits who attempted to rob him of his belongings at his Bel Air Park residence in Georgetown. According to police deputy PRO Stan Govaya, Matai, his wife, and daughter arrived home to their property around 22:11 hours in his motor car. He then exited his vehicle, leaving his wife and daughter in the car, and as he proceeded to open his gate, he saw the two men approaching him from the western direction on two bicycles. Investigation continues as police hunts for the two men. Get the full details in today's Kaieteur News. Coming up after the break, public officials should not hide from the media. ERC Commissioner says lack of information will always lead to suspicion. Bandit grabs dancing man, gold chain. Gunshots ring out after. Cops under close arrest for hosting birthday party. Man, 48 years old, killed by roommate over last shot of vodka. Do stay tuned.
Weak systems of governance and the absence of the rule of law both combine to form the perfect stage for corruption to flourish. As part of our anti-corruption fight at Kaieteur Radio, we invite you to join us every Tuesday evening from 7:30 p.m. as we embark on a most needed quest to remove the tentacles of corruption from our systems. See you then for our latest program called Governance, Corruption and Justice.
Guyana, please join me on the Glenn Lal Show, 99.1, 99.5, Kaieteur Radio, every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, 7:20 p.m. and a rebroadcast of the next day at 11 a.m. just in case you missed that program.
Welcome back. After noting several media reports that the Liza Destiny's gas compressor has malfunctioned for a fourth time, along with queries about the safety of operations offshore Guyana, leader of the opposition Joseph Harmon has requested an urgent meeting with ExxonMobil Guyana President Alastair Routledge and his executives. Harmon informed the media that he took this course of action as he shared a letter that was dispatched to Routledge recently. In the missive dated April 15th the opposition leader said this report lingering malfunctioning of equipment that continues to delay the termination of excess flaring of produced gas plus the significant reduction of operations to a bare minimum production level are of considerable concerns to the APNU AFC opposition, which, as you are aware, represents almost half of the Guyanese population in the National Assembly. On another note, outgoing Commissioner of the Ethnic Relations Commission, Deodat Prasad, is of the firm conviction that public officials should not hide from the media, but instead facilitate their scrutiny. He made that assertion while speaking to Kaieteur News yesterday via a telephone interview. Prasad noted that once a person becomes a public official, they should welcome interrogation from members of the media, since they serve as a layer of accountability in public administration. He stated that the dissemination of information by the media as it relates to what goes on in public office tends to hold those officials accountable. He remarked that there are many instances where media personnel may attempt to solicit comments from public officials, but they are often stymied in these efforts. As he stressed the need for these officials to face the media, Prasad was keen to note that their engagements also foster opportunities for clarification, which they may not get if public officials are silent. Meanwhile, a bandit yesterday zeroed in on a dancing man and snatched 2 gold chains from around his neck. The dancing man, Damien Mackenzie, 29, better known as Tuckman of Bridgeton Village, Quarantine, Berbice, ran behind the chain snatcher but was struck by a bullet after gunshots rang out. According to the police report, the robbery took place around 2:10 hours at a barbecue held in Alness Village, Quarantine. Investigators were told that Mackenzie was dancing with a woman when the suspect crept up behind him and snatched his gold chains valued $1.5 million. With the chains in hand, the suspect started running away, but Mackenzie gave chase. Upon noticing that his victim was after him, the suspect reportedly stopped, drew a handgun, and fired 3 shots at Mackenzie. One of the bullets struck the Berbice resident to his right thigh, and he fell to the ground. The bandit then made good his escape through a clump of bushes nearby. Police remain on the hunt for the gold chain bandit. 2 members of the Guyana police force are now under close arrest after they were caught hosting their birthday celebration on Saturday night in breach of COVID-19 regulations. The ranks a police corporal who is stationed at the Finance Office Divisional Headquarters, Region 8, and a lance corporal who is stationed at the Central Immigration Passport Office are accused of hosting a party at Clean Steel Wash Bay, which is located at Larry Trait Public Road, West Bank, Demerara. This newscast understands that the police received information on the location of the party and swooped down on the event. When the ranks arrived, they set up a roadblock some distance away from the party before they proceeded to shut it down. According to a video seen by this newscast, a large number of persons were seen leaving the wash bay while the police officers were instructing patrons to vacate the area. The two ranks who hosted the party were told of the allegation and subsequently taken into custody. Their music system was also seized and launched at the police station. This newscast has been able to confirm a bizarre tale where a man stabbed his roommate to death on Saturday following a grievance which they had over a last shot of vodka. The victim has been identified as Kemraj Sukna, 48, of Lot 5 Coconut Dam, Cane Grove, East Coast, Demerara. The murder took place sometime after 9 hours. It is alleged that Sukna and his roommate often shared a drink together, but their session on Saturday afternoon turned out to be their last together. On that day, around 17 hours, the two were drinking at a shop in the area when they started arguing over the last shot of vodka. That quarrel ended in a fight. Though no one was injured at the time, the matter was not put to rest. Hours later, while they were at home, this newscast understands that the two men began arguing again over the incident. Things, according to reports, turned deadly after Sukna's roommate picked up a knife and stabbed him to the chest and left arm. Sukna's body was removed and his roommate remains in police custody. A post-mortem examination is expected soon as police continue their investigation. It is now 12 hours 14. At this time, we will now have your COVID-19 updates. Coronavirus cases are now at 142.3 million, whereas deaths are at 3 million, and in case of recoveries, 120.8 million. Health Ministry recorded 3 more COVID-19 deaths. The Ministry of Health yesterday reported that 3 men who tested positive for COVID-19 have died. Their deaths now bringing Guyana's COVID-19 death toll to 271. The Ministry of Health also recorded 101 new COVID-19 cases, taking the total number of confirmed cases to 11,863. The dashboard also shows that 12 patients are in the COVID-19 intensive care unit, 74 persons are in institutional isolation, 1,326 in home isolation, and 15 are in institutional quarantine. That just about brings us to the end of our newscast, but before we go, let's head over to page 7, which is dedicated to being blunt. Guyana is embarking on a gas to shore, the most expensive venture it has ever undertaken. Yet, Vice President Dr. Barajalio is refusing to let the people have a feasibility study on this project. This study will give Guyanese all of the information they need to determine for themselves if this project will succeed. If this is how the PBPC intends to run this country, then we are in for a gloomy future with our oil sector. That just about brings us to the end of your News at Noon. I am Kayla King. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-84